They still feel you more than you realize. And yet, for reasons they won't say out loud, they keep their distance. They look away when your eyes meet. They act normal when you walk by. They pretend they've moved on. But the truth is quieter, deeper, more complicated. Because when someone still has strong feelings for you, avoiding you isn't a sign of detachment. It's a sign of emotional overflow. A feeling so intense it scares them, pulls them, pushes them, and leaves them unsure of what to do with the version of their heart you bring out. Maybe you've noticed it, the way their energy shifts around you, the way their voice softens for a moment before they force it back to neutral, the way their presence feels like a door half open and half closed at the same time. They don't look at you because looking at you brings everything back. They don't speak to you because they are afraid their voice might betray them. They don't get close because closeness reminds them of what they still want and what they are terrified to want again. This is the strange thing about deep emotions. The deeper they are, the more people panic. Love doesn't always make someone run toward you. Sometimes it makes them run from themselves, from their fears, their insecurities, their regrets, their unspoken hopes. You remind them of something powerful, something they thought they buried, something they are not ready to face. Maybe it was timing. Maybe it was pride. Maybe it was a misunderstanding. Maybe life pulled you both in different directions. But whatever happened between you, their heart didn't fully let go. It just learned how to stay quiet. And quiet feelings don't disappear. They wait. They wait in the spaces where your name is still a softness in their mind. They wait in the moments before sleep when everything feels honest. They wait when a song, a memory, or even a scent pulls them right back to you. People avoid the things they don't understand how to handle. And nothing is harder to handle than a feeling that refuses to die. So they create distance. They distract themselves. They pretend to be unaffected. But the truth leaks out in their silence, in their hesitation, in the way they watch you when they think you aren't looking, in the way their friends act around you because they already know the truth. This person isn't over you, not even close. Avoidance becomes their shield. Not because you're dangerous, but because you matter. Because you still have emotional power over them. Because losing control around you would expose everything they've worked so hard to hide. And so instead of coming closer, they pull back. They become careful, guarded, quiet. But every step they take away from you takes a piece of them with it. This intro sets the tone for the full script. Emotional, raw, addictive, and deeply relatable. When someone still has deep feelings for you yet chooses to avoid you, it creates a strange emotional paradox, one that feels almost impossible to understand from the outside, but is very real and painfully common inside the human heart. People imagine love as something that pulls two people closer, but sometimes love does the opposite. Sometimes love makes a person run, not because they don't care, but because they care far too deeply. Avoidance is not a sign of emptiness. Many times, it is the clearest sign of emotional intensity. Think of someone who feels everything too strongly, who remembers the tone of your voice, the way your eyes soften when you smile, the way your absence hits them in ways they pretend not to feel. Instead of facing you, or facing how overwhelming their emotions are, they pull away. They hide. They pretend. They distract themselves. And they create distance not because love is dead, but because it is frighteningly alive. For someone like this, avoidance becomes a kind of emotional shield. It's a defense mechanism, but also a silent confession. They may not know how to express what they feel, but their avoidance becomes its own kind of language. A language of fear, longing, confusion, and unresolved attachment. The kind of attachment that holds on even when the person tries to let go. This avoidance can come from many emotional roots. Sometimes it is fear of what will happen if they let their guard down, fear of being vulnerable again, fear of being rejected or misunderstood. Sometimes it is guilt, the weight of something they said, something they did, something they failed to do. Sometimes it is regret, the realization that they should have valued you earlier, but now they fear they've lost the right to step back into your life. And sometimes it is simply love that has nowhere to go, no label, no path, no permission, no timing that truly fits. When someone has deep feelings for you but avoids you, they are fighting two powerful forces inside them. One force pulls them toward you, the memories, the connection, the chemistry, the comfort, the way their heart softens when they think of you. The other force pulls them away, the fear that loving you will change their life, expose their vulnerability, ruin their plans, or break their heart again. You end up becoming the quiet conflict inside their mind that never seems to settle. They think about you more than you know. They replay conversations. They stalk your pictures. They hover at the edge of your world like someone holding a fragile piece of glass. They know exactly how much they feel, maybe more than they are ready to admit. And instead of stepping closer, they take a step back. Not because they want to disappear, but because they don't know how to safely exist around you when every part of them reacts so strongly. Deep feelings make people careful. Deep feelings make people overthink. Deep feelings make people paranoid about losing what little connection remains. Sometimes they avoid you because seeing you makes everything real again. Seeing you makes all the feelings surface. Seeing you reminds them of what they wanted, or still want, or don't know how to want anymore. They avoid you because they don't trust themselves around you. Not their words, not their emotions, not their heart that still moves without their permission. Avoidance can also come from emotional exhaustion. Maybe the connection was overwhelming. Maybe they felt too much, too fast. Maybe they weren't ready for the intensity. Maybe they were dealing with their own insecurities, trauma, pressure, or responsibilities. Some people avoid love not because it is wrong, but because the timing feels impossible. And when timing and emotions clash, avoidance becomes a temporary survival instinct. Many people also avoid the person who sees them too clearly. You might be the one person who noticed things about them no one else sees. You might have understood their tone, their silence, their moods, their fears. For some people, being seen is scarier than being loved. Love demands vulnerability. Vulnerability demands honesty. Honesty demands change. And change demands effort. If they weren't ready for that effort or that risk, avoidance felt safer, even if it's painful for them too. There's also a kind of love that returns in waves. Someone might avoid you because your presence awakens a version of themselves they miss, or they fear, or they don't feel worthy of anymore. Maybe they associate you with memories too precious to disturb or too painful to face. Their avoidance becomes a way of protecting the memory, the connection, or even you. People with low self-worth sometimes avoid the people they love the most because they quietly believe you deserve better than what they can offer. Sometimes they avoid you because they fear repeating history. They fear the same arguments, the same misunderstandings, the same heartbreak. They fear something beautiful turning messy. And instead of risking a negative outcome, they choose silence. They choose distance. They choose pretending not to care, even though the pretense cracks every time they hear your name or see something that reminds them of you. The heart is strange like that. It wants what it wants, but it also fears what it wants. When someone cares deeply but avoids you, they are stuck in that emotional middle space, the space between longing and self-protection. They are emotionally tangled, mentally overwhelmed, and spiritually conflicted. They may distance themselves not because they don't think about you, but because they can't stop thinking about you. Avoidance can also be a form of longing. The more they avoid you, the more they think of you. Every silence becomes a reminder. Every distance becomes an ache. They may try to distract themselves, work, friends, hobbies, routines, but everything eventually circles back to you. You become the quiet name in their thoughts, the soft ache in their chest, the unanswered what-if in their story. They avoid you because if they step closer, all the emotions they've been hiding will surface, and they don't know if they are ready for that kind of truth. Deep feelings make people cautious. They fear scaring you away. They fear loving you more than you love them. They fear exposing their vulnerability only to be met with indifference. They fear losing a connection that still means something to them. They fear that coming closer will make their emotions impossible to control. So they avoid you. Not to erase the feelings, but to contain them. It is possible that your presence reminds them of the version of themselves they used to be when they were with you. Softer, braver, more hopeful, more open. And if life has hardened them since then, if they've been hurt by others, if they've been struggling silently, they avoid you because facing you means facing themselves. The old hopes, the old wounds, the old unspoken dreams, the old vulnerability they packed away but never truly healed. Some people avoid the person they love because they think the connection is one-sided. Maybe you stopped showing interest. Maybe you pulled away first. Maybe you became quiet. Maybe they misread your actions. Maybe they assumed you moved on. When someone believes the love is not mutual, their heart switches into self-defense. They avoid you to protect themselves from rejection, even if they secretly hope you'll reach out. They avoid you because the silence feels safer than the possibility of heartbreak. For others, the avoidance comes from emotional immaturity. They don't know how to handle strong feelings. They don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to express themselves. They were never taught how to navigate deep emotional connections. Love becomes overwhelming, confusing, and frightening. Instead of leaning into it, they run from it. They hide behind silence because silence demands nothing from them. The truth is, people don't avoid the things they don't care about. They avoid the things that matter too deeply. They avoid the things that make them feel vulnerable. They avoid the things that remind them of what they want but can't have, or don't know how to have, or are afraid to lose. Avoidance is a silent emotion, a heavy, unspoken, misunderstood emotion that hides what the person doesn't know how to show. Many times, avoidance is a test. Not intentionally, but emotionally. They want to see if the connection will survive distance. They want to see if you will notice their absence. They want to see if you will reach out. They want to see if the bond is real enough to bring you back together. They avoid you because, deep down, they hope the connection has enough strength to pull you closer even when they push you away. But avoidance also hurts them. They pretend they are fine. They act normal. They carry on with their routines. But the heart does not lie. When someone avoids a person they still love, the distance becomes its own kind of ache, one that grows stronger in silence. They miss you in moments they did not expect. Your memory shows up in small things, a song, a scent, a familiar phrase, a place you once talked about. They try to shake it off, but the feeling lingers. Your absence becomes a presence in their mind. Avoidance is not the absence of emotion. It is the overflow of emotion. It is the inability to regulate feelings that are too intense, too vulnerable, too frightening, too raw. Someone who avoids you even while loving you is someone who doesn't know how to hold what they feel without breaking something, either their own heart or the connection. Sometimes they avoid you because they want you, but they think wanting you is wrong. Maybe they promised themselves they would focus on work, family, healing, responsibilities. Maybe they think the timing isn't right. Maybe they fear they will disappoint you. Maybe they fear they are not enough. Their avoidance becomes an attempt to control something they feel they have no control over. Their heart's instinctive pull toward you. Love is not always loud. Sometimes it is quiet, distant, conflicted, and afraid. Sometimes love sits behind locked emotions and unspoken thoughts. Sometimes love chooses silence because silence feels safer than honesty. Sometimes love avoids the person it wants because wanting them feels too dangerous. And sometimes the deepest feelings are expressed in the strangest ways, through distance, through hesitation, through silence, through avoidance. If someone still has deep feelings for you but also avoids you, understand that they are not choosing between you and someone else. They are choosing between letting themselves feel deeply and protecting themselves from the consequences of those feelings. They are caught in a battle between desire and fear, longing and logic, the heart's truth and the mind's defense. Avoidance is not the ending of the story. It is the middle, the confused, emotional, complicated middle where two hearts still recognize each other but don't know how to meet again. Avoidance is the space where love tries to make itself smaller, quieter, easier to handle. But deep feelings never shrink. They only hide, until the right moment pulls them back into the open.